Why do some married women, even those in seemingly stable relationships, quietly long for experiences outside their marriage? Is it simple boredom, emotional neglect, or is there something deeper, something that taps into timeless truths about human desire and fulfillment? This question isn't new. In fact, ancient philosophers like the Stoics spoke about the nature of desire, emotional dissatisfaction, and the illusion of fulfillment centuries ago. What they taught still holds profound relevance today. So in this video, we're going beyond surface level assumptions and diving deep into the why, not to judge, not to shame, but to understand. Because understanding is where true growth begins. Now, this isn't just a conversation about women or infidelity, it's a mirror held up to all of us, about relationships, human nature, and the longing for meaning. So let's unpack this from a Stoic lens and ask the uncomfortable but necessary questions. The real question: why do some people stray? We often rush to label. She's selfish. He's bored. They don't love their partner anymore. And while those snap judgments feel satisfying in the moment, they don't get us any closer to the truth. The Stoics would urge us to pause and ask, what's beneath the action? Because what we see on the surface, a secret affair, a craving for something new, is usually just the tip of the iceberg. Underneath that action is often something much deeper, a need for emotional connection, a desire to feel alive again, or an escape from the weight of routine. Human beings by nature are complex. Our minds are driven by emotion, shaped by expectations, and constantly seeking something more, often without even knowing what more is. The fantasy versus the reality of marriage. Let's get real for a second. Most people enter marriage with high hopes. They expect it to be a never-ending honeymoon filled with laughter, passion, and mutual appreciation. But the truth? Marriage is work. It's compromise. Over time, routines settle in, conversations become repetitive, and life can feel a little flat. That doesn't mean the love is gone. It means the spark that once came naturally now requires effort. And for some people, especially those who weren't taught emotional self-awareness or resilience, that lack of excitement can feel like suffocation. But here's the Stoic perspective. The problem isn't the marriage. It's the expectation that another person is supposed to keep us perpetually fulfilled. The Stoics believed that lasting contentment doesn't come from anyone or anything outside of us. True peace, they said, is born from within, from mastering our own mind and managing our emotions, not from chasing highs. The Stoic view on desire, why we're never satisfied. At the core of many relationship struggles is a single issue: desire. The Stoics had a name for it: epithumia, or excessive craving. This is the kind of desire that's never truly satisfied. It tells us, you need more passion, more attention, more novelty. Imagine someone feeling emotionally unfulfilled in their marriage. Instead of turning inward to understand that feeling, they turn outward. They begin chasing validation, perhaps through flirtation, fantasies, or even infidelity. But here's the Stoic warning: that external pursuit won't fix the internal void. It's like trying to fill a broken jar with water. It all leaks out eventually. No matter how many exciting experiences you gather, if the foundation of your happiness is cracked, it won't hold. What the Stoics recommend instead is cultivating ataraxia, a state of inner peace where your joy isn't dependent on circumstances. And that kind of peace only comes from discipline, reflection, and radical self-honesty. A Stoic practice: negative visualization. Now here's a powerful tool the Stoics used, one that can radically shift your mindset if you let it. It's called negative visualization. Sounds a bit grim, right? But stay with me. The exercise is simple. Imagine losing what you currently have. Imagine waking up and your partner is gone, not because of anything they did, but because life simply took them away. What would you miss? What moments would you wish you could relive? This isn't about fear-mongering, it's about gratitude. We tend to overlook what's constant in our lives. We stop noticing the small acts of care, the quiet loyalty, the simple presence of another person. But when we mentally practice loss, we remember just how valuable those everyday things really are. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, used to imagine losing all his possessions, his family, even his life, not to make himself miserable, but to train his mind to appreciate what he had while he still had it, and we can do the same with our relationships. The trap of external validation. Let's be honest, everyone wants to feel seen, to feel desirable, to feel like we matter. And when we don't get that affirmation from our partner, it can create a vacuum, one that we often try to fill with attention from others. But here's the truth: external validation is never enough. It feels good temporarily, sure, but it's a sugar rush. And once it wears off, the emptiness returns, often deeper than before. The Stoics believed that relying on others to define your worth is a recipe for disappointment. They taught us to build our self-respect from the inside. Because when you know your own value, you stop needing the world to prove it to you. So if someone is tempted to seek validation outside their relationship, the Stoic response isn't judgment, it's curiosity. Why do I feel invisible? And what can I do internally to rebuild my sense of self-worth? Self-discipline, the power of choice. Here's where Stoicism shines: self-discipline. The Stoics weren't emotionless robots. They felt temptation, frustration, even rage. But they believed real power lies in our response, not our impulses. Imagine someone on the brink of cheating. They're drawn to the rush, the spark, the escape. But at that moment, they also have a choice: give in or step back and ask, what am I truly chasing? Am I looking for love, or am I running from discomfort? Epictetus, who started life as a slave, became one of the greatest Stoic teachers. Why? Because he trained himself not to be ruled by feelings. He didn't try to escape life. He chose how to respond to it. That's where his freedom came from. And we can do the same. When you feel the urge to escape your relationship, ask yourself, is this aligned with my values? Or am I letting temporary feelings drive permanent consequences? Society's illusion, the pressure to want more. We can't ignore the role modern society plays. We live in a world that constantly screams, you should have more, you deserve better, don't settle. Scroll through social media and you'll see picture-perfect couples, luxury vacations, fairy tale love stories. And naturally, we start to wonder, why doesn't my relationship look like that? But what you're seeing isn't truth. It's fantasia, as the Stoics called it, false impressions. Carefully curated images designed to trigger envy and insecurity. And unless you're grounded in your own values, it's easy to get swept up in the illusion. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, kept a nightly journal where he reminded himself to stay focused on what truly mattered: his integrity, his duty, his self-awareness, not the noise of public opinion. That's a practice we should all adopt. Amor fati, love your fate. And finally, let's talk about one of the deepest Stoic teachings. Amor fati, love your fate. This isn't about tolerating misery or staying in unhealthy situations. It's about embracing what life has given you and asking, how can I grow from this? If your relationship feels dry, empty, or uninspiring, don't just escape it. First ask, how can I bring more presence, more purpose, more love to it? Because fulfillment isn't about perfect circumstances. It's about rising to the challenge of your current life and making something meaningful out of it. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, lost everything in a shipwreck. But instead of crumbling, he said, now I begin again. That's the Stoic spirit, not to run from discomfort, but to transform it. Final thought. Real happiness begins within. Here's the bottom line. No relationship, no person, no adventure will ever make you feel whole if you're not at peace with yourself. If you're tempted to search for fulfillment outside your marriage, ask yourself, what am I truly missing? Can I cultivate that inside myself? The Stoics taught us that happiness isn't something we find, it's something we practice. And when we begin that inner work, our relationships, just like our lives, begin to transform. So if this message resonated with you, hit that subscribe button. Because the journey of self-understanding, emotional strength, and Stoic clarity is just getting started, and I'll be here to guide you every step of the way.